Not that one. Going for... Come on. There we go. Couldn't actually get to the match real quick.
Phew. This has been a very quick succession of games. This may be the shortest Sunday community skirmish yet.
It very well might be. Wow, I need to not be inside a team here. There we go. I'm actually a spectator.
You do not belong anywhere. You belong with me.
Little do you know, I'm actually going to play in this game. No, I'm just kidding.
What? Yeah, and you're gonna cast from there. Oh, Rada Beef is going for the mortar. He is so awesome.
See, now I'm actually going to see if I can try and do that just one day. Just gonna cast from the gunner position. And here I am sitting on the Gatling gun, and we are waiting for some enemies, and we see an enemy. I'm not quite close enough to actually shoot the Gatling gun, and I'm finally close enough to shoot the Gatling gun. I'm going, and we're dead.
So basically, you're going to just be streaming yourself playing, but you're also going to be casting just yourself.
Pretty much, yeah.
Now that would be like a whole new way to like get angry at your captain. And the captain is an idiot. He's turning the wrong way.
This captain doesn't seem to know what he's doing. I'm pretty sure he couldn't actually pilot his way out of a wet paper bag, and I'm absolutely not sure if we can even try and win this because we just have such bad teammates.
You know, come to think of it, it would be kind of difficult to fly your way out of a gigantic wet paper bag.
Well, you know, I guess you could try and ram through it.
Well, I guess, but I mean, I'd imagine that'd be too tough for that. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, see, now we're just thinking about the logistics of flying out of a wet paper bag, and I'm not entirely sure if that's healthy.
Coming after adventure mode. Escape the wet paper bag. Make it happen, Muse.
It's a new game mode. It's a raid, in fact. You just have to ram the walls of this wet paper bag until you just have to break through.
This sounds like a really bad Mario Party minigame.
See, now I'm gonna try and find Mario Party minigames that were similar to that.
There are... actually, there might be a couple. Probably a couple.
Getting off on a little tangent here, does anybody here remember the, what was that game? It was like the game in Mario Party where you were like standing on these little balls and you were like on this platform and you had to knock people off by running.
Yes!
That was the #1 way to lose friends in my circle of friends.
I actually really liked that game. That one was the most fun. I think, just Mario Party 2 was the best way to lose friends.
Yeah, I mean, there were always those games where, like, you would... Oh, God. Like, there were always those games where you would have to... All you have to do was, like, spam the A button. And
yeah.
In my circle of friends, I was the guy who did that the best. I remember one time in particular, I was hitting the A button so quickly, the game could not recognize me hitting the button.
Oh, God. Watch out, Cosmo, right?
Too. I was, like, just pressing that button just, like, so quickly.
Yeah, Cosmo's got another contender for a Wind Waker here. Coming up. That was a mildly obscure reference. Anyway, we're waiting on everyone. Just get ready. Oh, God. Do you see Lazy Panda's ship name?
Notice me, Jump Jump Senpai. Oh, God.
The RS Vulcan is a, in case you, oh, yeah. What am I saying? I'm just reading Dementio's message now. We have the RS Vulcan. I'm really curious to see, like, how well these two fly together, this week.
It will be interesting, to say the least. I mean, without even looking at their... I'm sorry, we have a small feline outside my door. Anyway, so... without even looking at their... Without even looking at their... What's the word I'm looking for? Loadouts. That's the word I'm looking for, loadouts. Without even looking at the loadouts of the ships, I can tell you that I'm already giving the Fancy and the Lib ATK the benefit of the doubt here. Mostly because Mobula and Galleon just work so well together. We've seen that so many times.
It's surprising because they're both... Like, the Galleon is pretty dependent on its ally, the Mobula is a little bit dependent on its ally, not to the extent of the Galleon.
And apparently, by your powers combined, we are a hell of a win.
Yeah, no kidding. It was absolutely brutal to watch. The firepower between those two ships was ridiculous, and if they could manage,
Absolutely.
and like, but with that firepower, they have the potential to just end a fight before it begins.
100% true, yeah. All right,
For the
we are
Storm
underway.
Riders, yep, for the Storm Riders on the red side, we have the Fancy, a Mobula, being piloted by Dementio. On the top, we have a Hades, with Artemis on the wings, and a Carronade Flamer on the lower deck. And we have the Lib ATK, a galleon being piloted by Luiosi. Port side of Hades, Flak, and Lumberjack, with a starboard of Carronade and Watcha, and a flare on the back.
All right, and I'm gonna have to try and speed this up a little bit because we already do have an engagement going on.
Oof.
We have the number 3 ship, the Notice Me Jub Jub Senpai, being piloted by, let's see, Lazy Pandas. This is a goldfish with a carronade on the front, with a flare gun on the side and a light flamethrower on the other. On the last slot, we have the RS Vulcan. This is a Hades and Artemis Pyramidion being piloted by Jub Jub. On the side, we have a flamethrower and a beacon flare gun.
Yep.
So very well-rounded ships. Let's see how well it holds up to these guys who have just been absolutely dominating every single game they've been in almost.
The Fancy has already taken quite a bit of hull damage, the Vulcan just doing a little bit too much. Now that Carronade is going to be a huge counter to the Fancy, and I think that is who the Notice Me is going to be targeting. However, the Artemis was able to disable that Carronade. They're going to be able to get it back up. It is chem sprayed. Now the Fancy going to rise up, trying to knock the Notice Me Jub Jub Senpai out of the way. However,
Just so
the
lack of
RAS
something like
Vulcan is targeting down the Mobula. Hades going into it, but Lib ATK is given just a moment, and the starboard side is so easy to hit with the Hades and Flak.
Let's see. Here we have the Fancy, and I feel like he just might be a little bit too
Oh, Flak!
close.
There it
Flak
is.
doing its job. Come on, where's the flat guns? Where's the shots?
It was there.
There we
There
go.
it is. The armor
That's
took
what we
a
needed.
long time. The armor took a long time to come up on that goldfish. Bought almost no time.
Absolutely. The RAS Vulcan has just now spawned back in, and he's got to still be hurting from that first death.
Absolutely. There's no way that the Vulcan could have survived that barrage. Like that.
Way.
Now, a lot of the time, galleons tend to struggle. They get disabled, and then they have trouble getting their guns into arc. But we've seen time after time, you give the galleon any breathing room, the Hades are going to start landing, and then the flak is going to come in. Those flaks have been phenomenal. Who's gunning that? That would be, I want to say Delta Jug, because he's buffing.
I would think so.
I believe so.
Well, regardless, we have the Lib ATK taking quite a few Hades shots, not really doing a whole heck of a lot, thankfully, because the Galleon, being one of the most durable ships in the game, can kind of just shrug off most shots unless they unload an entire clip into you. The Fancy's still sitting at half health. He's got to be super careful when attacking this next salvo. We got the Notice Me Jub Jub Senpai, who is trying to go around the side. He has been spotted, so he has lost a decent amount of that element of surprise here. He has been allowed to get really close to the Fancy, though. He's going to try and ram. Here he goes for the ram, and the Fancy...
It connects.
It connects, but it does not do too much. That balloon is, in fact, out, though, so he is going to have to deal with that. The Lib ATK is trying to rise up so he can get some good shots on the RAS Vulcan, who is currently unloading all of that Hades directly into his hull. The Vulcan is just absolutely destroying it, because the Vulcan is getting all of those good, solid fire stacks, and I feel like
An
Lib
Artemis.
ATK's, and its armor's down now, which is going to take a day and a half to get back up. Thankfully, he must have had a lot of the guys just absolutely hammering that hull to get it back up.
Wow, look at that. Lib ATK getting chipped away by the Vulcan, the Hades, every single one of them landing. Look at that consistency. At this range, it's hard to... Oh, there we go, one miss. Armor went down anyway, and that Artemis is going to continue chipping away. In the meantime, down lower, the Fancy has managed to get itself righted again. The armor on Notice Me Jub Jub Senpai is down, but the Fancy is... It has its balloon. The Carronade is not able to take it out quite yet. There we go. Shot's going to come out. The Fancy and the Jub Jub Senpai are going to start sumo wrestling on the ground here as the RAS Vulcan continues to have its way with Lib ATK.
Absolutely. The one problem that the Vulcan's going to have here is that the Lib ATK is going to take ages to take down.
Ooh, Jub Jub Senpai eating a lot of damage. Its armor went down and the Artemis is landing. Ooh, just barely going to survive.
Shots? Where are the shots? The Fancy needs to start getting those Artemis shots in very solid, otherwise it's not going to get anything.
They were coming in very solid, but the armor came up just in time. Now Lib ATK dropping down. Might want to try to get the Goomba Stomp on the Notice Me Jub Jub Senpai. May as well try. No, it's going to overshoot just a little bit, but it will turn its starboard guns. The Notice Me Jub Jub is going to rise up quick, trying to get out of the way, and the Carronade is going to go into the balloon, helping to finally bring this galleon down.
The Lib ATK is in a heap ton of trouble. I don't think it's actually going to be able to... well, the thing is, it doesn't even really need to be dead here because the galleon rises and falls so slowly that it may as well just be out of the fight, which is actually better than just flat out killing it right now, I feel. The Fancy is having to take the entire time without its ally. It goes down. The Lib ATK is now within seconds of its armor being down from dying. It has almost no survivability left. The Lib ATK just has to hold on for dear life while its ally tries desperately to get back into the fray. Unfortunately for them, they are far enough away from I think all of the other spawn points where it's not going to have a whole lot of time.
Yep, this corner up here, very difficult to assist with without meat grinding.
And there you go.
2 for 2. Now, SPQR did pay for that with a ton of hull damage on this goldfish. It's barely alive. Hold on, I'm going to look at this. It's 2 pixels. 2 pixels worth of hull. I think that's about as low as you can actually get.
It's being held together with paper clips, rubber bands, and the hopes and dreams of its crew.
I generally like to say spit and cardboard.
That too.
Notice Me Jub Jub Senpai is coming in low. It really wants to go in on the Fancy. However, the Hades is going to make that difficult. Now the Hwacha comes out. A lot of it goes wide. This goldfish is doing a wonderful job of dodging around. However, if the armor goes down once, then it's dead.
Absolutely. It's going to have to really turn on its dodging shoes because otherwise it's not going to have any chance of surviving the next 2 seconds, let alone the rest of the match. The Notice Me Jub Jub Senpai is taking a crap ton of damage as far as the hull goes. Actually, never mind. It didn't take that too much because for some reason, I don't know why, but I assumed there was not...
There's the bump! They're going to crush him against the geometry.
His armor is also down now. He is 100% exposed. It is now 2-3 in favor of the SPQR. Lib ATK is going to have to really, really try not to go down here because his armor is taking a huge pounding from those Hades shots. The RAS Vulcan and the Notice Me Jub Jub Senpai are pretty much going to be able to have their way with the Lib ATK here. It's not going to have anything to say about it.
Wow. I can't believe that the Jub Jub Senpai has actually managed to stay alive. Getting burnt down. And Artemis picks it up.
Boom, shakalaka.
This is the danger you run when you run a Mobula and a Galleon. You have an absurd amount of firepower, but if you get split up, then you are in trouble, and that's exactly what SPQR has done every time. They've gotten the Notice Me, that Carronade goldfish, on the Mobula, and they've gotten the Vulcan on the Galleon. Easy to land those Hades shots when you're at just the right range.
Let's see. The Notice Me Jub Jub Senpai has done a stellar job of staying alive here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just barely.
And the thing is, it utilized this pretty much giant target on its back so well. He went straight at the Lib ATK and the Fancy, taking one of the biggest risks you can ever take as far as this game goes, charging straight for these huge kill ships, and then was smart enough to hide just out of their range and get back down. The Lib ATK is getting...
Oh,
wow! The Vulcan and the Notice Me Jub Jub Senpai are both at absolutely 0 health. And it's getting to the point where I honestly don't know how well they can turn it around, if that's at all possible.
Lib ATK, its armor's down, its balloon's down, it's gonna start bouncing. Right now, the the Storm Riders only have 1 kill, or they have 2 kills. They need two. They need 3 more. Even if SPQR loses this engagement, they will have put hull damage down on the Storm Riders, and that's what they want. Now, the Notice Me Jub Jub Senpai charging in on Lib ATK. Looks like that's going to be its target. They have swapped targets for the moment. RAS Vulcan keeping fire going on the Fancy. Those Hades are so easy to land on a Mobula that is lower than yourself.
Its
Armor goes down.
This might bounce. This might be it.
One more Artemis will do it. SPQR picks up the first game.
Absolutely. In an absolutely nail-biting game. That was just back and forth the whole time. The Notice Me Jub Jub Senpai did its job to a T. It knew that it was down, and it knew that it was the bait, and it did it so well.
Mm-hmm. I can't believe the Vulcan survived. It was coming in. Really, I feel like what SPQR was doing for a lot of the time is they were allowing the Vulcan to go in. They were just trying to get the Notice Me close enough to the Mobula to pop its balloon, turn it into a 2v1.
Yeah, absolutely. It did such a good job doing what it had to do there.
Absolutely. How many times can we say absolutely? All right, Canyon Ambush is going to be the next map. Going to get that going in just a little bit. So, Storm Riders, they ran those 2 dependent ships. They ran the Mobula and the Galleon. Do you think that's what killed them, or do you think it was something else?
I honestly couldn't tell you. I mean, the thing that I saw was, and I've been beating this drum all day, is that focus fire. And they kind of got distracted, really, with the just how tempting it was to go after the Notice Me Jub Jub Senpai. And the thing is, yeah, it could have gone down really quickly, but as we've seen before, a goldfish can pretty much run circles around a galleon all day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's. I think you bring up a really good point, and I don't think that it's necessarily that that they lost focus. It's that the focus was forced away. The balloon of the Mobula would be popped. It would be brought down. Suddenly, it couldn't target the Pyramidion. It couldn't go for the target that it really wanted because it wasn't an arc. The goldfish did not allow that to happen.
Absolutely, the goldfish. It just. I'm still in awe how well it ended up using its job there. I mean, they. Short of me just beating a dead horse here, it's just getting to the point where I'm still just speechless of how well that was played. The Notice Me Jub Jub Senpai, just props to you, Lazy Pandas. You did a stellar job there.
Yeah, that was very impressive. The coordination between Jub Jub and Pandas. Wow, that sentence actually happened. The coordination between Jub Jub and Lazy Pandas was incredible. Just taking that sentence completely out of context is really strange.
Yeah, if you think about it, I suppose.
I will think about it.
It makes sense if you don't think about it.
No, it doesn't. It still makes no sense. Canyon Ambush, what are the writers going to do? Looks like they are done with their experimentation. They really want to use something that they think is going to work. And I think they are not going to run the 2 dependent ship combos. Now, I think the Mobula and the Galleon are 2 of the most team-dependent ships. Because you think of the other ones, Spire. Spire is the most dependent.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up.
Spire's the most dependent, but you don't see a lot of the Spire. You don't see nearly as much of the Spire as you do the other ships.
And I think, sorry to interrupt there, but I think the reason that you don't see so many Spires there is because teamwork between 2 captains can only go so far. I mean, there comes a point where it doesn't really matter how together you and your teammate are. The fact of the matter is that the Spire just crumbles under any sort of pressure.
Yeah. And that just makes it difficult. So we're looking at, the 6 ships that are usually used. The Mobula and Galleon are the 2 most dependent on their allies. And I don't think that the Riders want to try and run that risk again. SPQR proved that they're not going to allow that kind of thing to happen again. They show that they know how to close distance, albeit Duel at Dawn is easier to do that on.
Absolutely.
However, I think that they just can do that. You saw the way they played. I feel like they're able to translate that skill to other maps.
Absolutely. In Canyon Ambush, it might be a very different story because closing the gaps here, depending on where they decide to engage, can be either, the easiest thing in the world or almost impossible. Because if the Riders play it like they did last time, as far as the kind of setting up in the defensive position and just like kind of taking them down like ducks at a shooting gallery, then they're gonna have I feel like more of the same song here because it's gonna be them absolutely dominating the match. But I feel like SPQR kind of I feel like they're gonna be able to recognize that very quickly and they'll be able to get into a better position.
I agree. I think that SPQR is going to be able to do it. Now, the Storm Riders are taking a significantly more mobile setup for Canyon Ambush, and it makes sense. I think that this is more than just this is more than just taking into consideration who they're fighting. I think it's more a map consideration than anything. The Riders want to try and get into the best position possible. They want to try to get the jump on SPQR, and if they can, they can really do a lot. It's going to be Goldie Pura versus Goldie Pura. And so this is just going to come down to who can get the jump on the other person and who can brawl harder.
Absolutely. And I really hope I see this map's namesake happening here. I want to see some ambushes.
I think that's what we're going to see. We are getting underway right now. I wonder how these teams are going to play this. I'm really curious. I wonder if one team is going to hang out in their own spawn, try and spot them out, and just try to get a straight up engagement. We see that sometimes. Some teams just prefer that straight up engagement, but
it's a risky strategy. It really is very risky to go at them like that, especially in this map. There's very little room for error.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. The initial engagement is going to be very, very important, especially if that engagement happens in the center of the map. We are underway. The Storm Riders spawning at red once again. They have the Friendfish, a goldfish being piloted by Daniel Dementio. Carronade on the front, with a Banshee on the port side and a flamethrower on the starboard to take advantage of mist chem spray cycles. Then we have the Lib GTK, a Pyramidion being piloted by Luosi. Gap mortar forward with a carronade and flare on the port.
All right, I'm going to have to speed this up here because it might not be that long until we have our first engagement here. So if we have the Notice Me Jub Jub Senpai, which is being piloted by Lazy Pandas. This is a blenderfish with a Gatling gun and a flamethrower on the side. On the last but definitely not least slot, we have the RAS Vulcan. This is being piloted by Jub Jub. This is a Pyramidion that is a Gatling and mortar Pyramidion, so that good old Metamidion build, and on the side it has a carronade and a flare gun.
Yeah, this is almost a mirror match. The only thing that's different is one of the side guns on the Notice Me Jub Jub Senpai, and now it has been caught out alone. It is going to eat the first round of fire. Lib GTK loading in Gatling, but the Notice Me is going to charge past and underneath as the RAS Vulcan gets a nice Gatling clip into the Lib GTK. I think that the Storm Riders may have been baited here.
They very well might have been.
There are the mortars. They're trading mortar fire. It's going to be close, but the Vulcan wins. Lib GTK goes down. It leaves itself open to the Friendfish, but the Notice Me is coming right in. Friendfish dashes away into the canyons, desperately trying to get away. Main engine, however, has been disabled, and it's going to bump. No, it's not. Oh, it just barely slides in between those rock spires, but the armor breaks. Mortars coming out. They go a little bit wide, trying to... Oh, there they go. Now they're landing. Armor taking a long time to come back up. But there it is, drops again. And the Vulcan looking to finish this first engagement up. Notice me, Jub Jub Senpai, working on the balloon, holding the friend fish down, and the Vulcan able to get the last couple of mortar shots in. 2-0 in favor of SPQR.
Absolutely. I mean, here we have the opening, that crucial opening engagement that we were talking about earlier. That was at the very beginning there. That could have been gone either way. The Vulcan and I believe it was the Friendfish. No, it was the LibGTK. It was the Vulcan and the LibGTK were just going right at each other, and the Vulcan, had it missed a single shot, would have lost that engagement.
Now, I think that SPQR won that engagement for one reason. It's because they used the goldfish for what it like. They used the goldfish and capitalized on its advantages better. You saw the Storm Riders thought that they had caught the Notice Me all alone, separated from its ally, and so they got the Gatling going. But right as that, right as the Gatling was, halfway emptied, the Vulcan came around the corner, and suddenly that the LibGTK was going to lose. There was no way that the Vulcan could really lose unless, it missed too many shots. We saw some missed shots, but even then, the Vulcan was able to win that engagement. And what that says to me is that SPQR is very comfortable using the goldfish as bait.
Absolutely. And the more confident that you feel in your bait's ability to just do his job, it's your job afterwards is going to be leagues easier. I mean, because once you trust your ally to know when to get out of there, for them to know when, it's screwed about 12 days from Sunday, they need to get out of there, then it just becomes so much more, comfortable and just so much of a better play.
Now, right now, the Storm Riders are going to play this a little bit more defensively. They're going to back up into the southern spawn. Now, the Notice Me and the RAS Vulcan are moving in there as well. I think they suspect something. Are they going to get the spots? That's the real question. If they do a straight-up engagement, then SPQR is going to lose. The Vulcan is too low on permahull to make a fight with the Lib happen. Now, Notice Me, the way they're going to play this is they're going to try to get the Friendfish out of the fight early. Ooh, but the Hellhound gets... No, it doesn't get disabled. Notice Me still has its Hellhound, and the balloon on the Friendfish goes down. The LibGTK is rising up, but it's moving away from the assistance of its ally. The Vulcan a little bit concerned about closing distance quite yet.
I would be too. I mean, the Friendfish has a good opportunity here because what it's doing is it's also backing up at the same time as its ally is. And once it repairs its balloon to an acceptable point, he can actually get right up there and start absolutely going after him. Unfortunately, it does not have that much time because it has just gone down. The RAS Vulcan has taken it out once again. The Friendfish also once again is all on its own. Thankfully, it can just shoot straight over its enemies. The SPQR... Oh,
it got a bump. It's fine.
Very nearly lost all of its momentum there.
Very nearly.
The Friendfish has lost its armor, and it is now being absolutely pounded by those mortars.
Armor, though, there we go. That's the sort of engineering we needed to be seeing earlier. The armor's going to come up very quickly. The Gatling, however, getting loaded into the engine column. You see, even though the armor's down, they keep using that Gatling to destroy the main engine. The Friendfish is very dead.
Down he goes. Very, very dead indeed. And
I was going to say very disabled. It's like, nope, no. The
LibGTK has just not really had an answer to the Vulcan here.
No. The Vulcan, I don't know what happened. I feel like the Gatling was more accurate on the Vulcan. Something went wrong. I didn't see, maybe they didn't get the mallet whack on the armor. Maybe they were too busy repairing the engines as they moonshine backwards. I wonder. LibGTK does have moonshine. I'll bet you that's what it was.
That very well could have been it. The RAS Vulcan now has to be super, super careful because he now has a giant bullseye painted right on his forehead.
again, it still has it. It's had it for a while. This is going to be really tough. I'm surprised that the Vulcan got out of that last engagement unscathed. Well,
honestly,
no
so
less
am I.
scathed than it already was.
Yeah, exactly. Not quite scot free, but he's sitting just as pretty as he was last time. Arias Vulcan and the Notice Me Jump Jump Senpai are kind of taking it a little slower now.
Ooh.
They're searching for the enemy so that might actually be able to get a good flank in on them. The flare
There
goes
goes
out.
out.
It
They get
doesn't
spots.
reveal
They
anything.
didn't see. They didn't see there was hard cover in the way, I think. Oh, never
Absolutely.
mind. They saw him. Look at that turn. They're both turning hard.
They are zeroing in on that position. They are going right backwards, seeing they know that they missed him here. And the Jub Jub Senpai and the Vulcan both know that since the flare's out, they're going to be coming right for him. The friend fish, I feel like, needs to be that target because the friend fish and the Jub Jub Senpai have just now locked onto each other. The friend fish has been spotted. Both of the blue
Oof.
ships are unspotted as of right now. The Vulcan has a good opportunity to come in to the side of the friend fish. It very well might end the ship in the battle right here, and it's actually kind of hanging back a little bit.
Yeah, it's
waiting
scared.
for libGTK to show its face.
Yep, now it has revealed itself. Spot
There
goes
we
down and
go.
immediately libGTK begins firing. However, a lot of that Gatling clip went wide. I think the Vulcan's armor is going to hold. Now the Arias Vulcan is backing up. libGTK's armor is holding as well. These two Puros are going to be duking it out for a little while. In the meantime, though, the Notice Me has taken the friend fish very hard. Friend fish looking like it's going to go down, turning the carronade onto the balloon. Can they get it dropping down to the ground one more time? If they can, this will be it. They were waiting on the buff. Carronade goes out. Balloon on the friend fish will survive. libGTK now moving over on the Jub Jub Senpai. Now that the Pura is finished off, Jub Jub Senpai trying to get the kill. They waited too long on that carronade to try and kill the friend fish. And now they are in huge trouble. libGTK loading and Gatling into the main engine, trying to disable it. There it goes. Balloon down as well.
The friend fish is so vulnerable right now because the RAS Vulcan knows for a fact that he's the one he needs to go after. The Jub Jub Senpai has just gone down, but in all honesty, the RAS Vulcan has a little bit of time here to just charge face first into it. He's not going to do it, though, because he knows that he kind of needs his ally to go over there and absorb some of that damage.
Mm-hmm.
See, the good thing right here, the thing that they got to be loving right now is they actually have a little bit of insurance as far as deaths go. Because even if it's a full wipe, even if the friend fish takes 0 damage and they die twice, they still have an advantage in this next engagement.
Yeah. The SPQR has fought very hard for this advantage. Ooh, carronade down. Jub Jub Senpai able to use the heavy clip to disable the carronade. Who was that? That was Captain Wingnut. Very impressive shot from him. Now the flares are going to come out. The Notice Me did have chem spray, so it's going to be okay. Now, both teams are very tentative to engage. It is an even engagement. However, the friend fish is a little bit farther forward. The RAS Vulcan is going to start peppering the friend fish with Gatling fire, but it's not going to move in. It's too afraid of libGTK right now. Look at this.
Absolutely.
They're just staring each other down. It's a Mexican standoff.
Needs to, yeah, absolutely. The thing is, once anything gets disabled, the first thing that gets disabled will start the onslaught, because once that happens, it's going to be the starting gun. And here we go. Just like I said, once the friend fish's balloon goes down, the SPQR just charges in, seeing if it can get this last and final kill. And the balloon has just now gotten back up, but it cannot stay up that long as long as the Jub Jub Senpai has that heavy carronade, and they do. It is just making sure that the friend fish does not have any balloons to speak of. The friend fish is now getting absolutely pounded. Its armor is going to go down. Its health is down, and that it's. Ladies and gentlemen, SPQR wins it.
That's going to be that 2-0. And those were very convincing victories over the Riders. The Riders fought well. The Storm Riders fought very well. But SPQR felt like they had a very strong handle on those games. They made the right calls at all the right times. I am very impressed with this team. Jub Jub showing, and SPQR showing that they can still hold their own even without Holy.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
They came, they saw, they conquered.
Excellent.
Like Caesar of old.
That was very impressive. I am very impressed. I was not expecting SPQR to win as well, as hard as they did, as handily as they did. Just very impressive play from both ships. Impressive shooting from all of them. Great. I feel like they had better tactics than the Riders those games.
Absolutely. They earned that victory. That was well done. Well done, SPQR. You got it.
Yep, they definitely earned this victory in this 17th Sunday Community Skirmish. Thank you all for joining us. I have been Fourth Oracle. I've been joined by Rotted Beef. It's been a pleasure having all of you. Very, very intense day.
Very much so. There were several games here where I just did not know how that was going to go down, really.
Yeah, it was very. All the games were very impressive, and I feel like there was some very good play from everyone today. But I feel like SPQR really deserved that victory. They won it. They fought hard for it.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you very much, everyone. That's going to be it for the Sunday Community Skirmish. Pleasure having all of you. Again, I've been Fourth Oracle, joined by Rotted Beef, and that's going to be it. Farewell.